Hi guys, it's Rachel with Rachel's Remedies, and today I am covering hormones, or hormonies as they say in Big Fat Greek Weddings.
Okay, all my life I had a lump at the back of my neck, right here, always a lump. Then I started menopause and the lump got bigger. From the hormones, it started to grow.
One of the huge pieces on this health journey for me has been figuring out my hormones and how to get them balanced. Not an endocrinologist. I will say Mark and I went to 3 different places before we finally found one that actually was reading our blood tests carefully and wasn't just trying to give us hormones. So overweight, there were several issues, and she had done the little pellet, they insert in pellet. And so I went to her place, I made an appointment, it took a long time to get in. Now, when you start this journey, just slow down and be patient with yourself. It may be upwards of 6 months before you feel good again, if you're not feeling good, because it takes time. So the first place I went to, and the first place you go to may not be your final destination. So the first place I went to was like, oh, you need, I did the blood work, and then you go back like a week later and they have to look at the blood work, and then they're like, okay, we've looked at your blood and you need testosterone. Well, I was more concerned about weight loss, so my sex drive was low. There was several things, but weight loss, I was lifting weights and not losing weight, and they were like, oh, this is good for everything. So I just did it by faith. My friend said she felt fabulous, did the testosterone pellet. They kind of do a little cut, an incision, insert it, and then maybe a Band-Aid. There's no stitches. I'm pretty muscular and was in pain for a week. I don't have as much fat on my rear end as I guess is good for the pellets. So I was like, oh, it's no big deal. And then it took like a week to start feeling like the surge from the testosterone. And then it kind of peaked at 3 weeks. And then it took like a month or 5 weeks before they were like, okay, your testosterone levels are low enough now to do another pellet. So it kind of was like a roller coaster. Like you don't feel very much, and then you feel a lot, and it's like rainbows and like all this stuff, and then it kind of dips down, and then you need to wait. They don't want testosterone to be too high, and so they have to wait until it gets low enough to do another pellet. Okay, so that was my very first hormone I took, very first experience. Meanwhile, Mark went to a different place, and they were like, we need $3,000 right now, and you need testosterone or you're gonna die tomorrow. And I had already heard about that place from someone else, and I texted him, I was like, get out, don't give them money. It's a scam. Okay, so we didn't like stop going and stop trying to figure it out just because our first 2 experiences were kind of like, my phone, you can Google wellness, because a lot of those clinics are called wellness clinics. You can, for hormone therapy replacement, they have online places, and you do your blood work locally, and then they ship it to that person. They analyze your hormones. We have an awesome local place, and I'll put my link below for San Antonio. Love it. But I had another person go, they have 2 or 3 clinics, and they went to another one. They didn't like it as much. They didn't get as good results. So just keep just know if you hit it right the first hormone replacement therapy place you go to, you're pretty lucky. Like it's not just like this instant thing. Now, I knew from Googling that my adrenal glands were suffering. After the coffee thing, I finally Googled and was like, your adrenal glands are shot, and what will help them is DHEA. So I immediately got online, ordered DHEA, the biggest amount. I knew energy, like I could not run almost. I was always a runner, and my energy just started slowly going like up, and it felt good. But then I started breaking out. You know, hormone therapy person who, my lady is a PA or maybe a DO. She's not a doctor. There is the doctor and staff. I've never seen that person. Really good. She's good at looking at blood work and being like, you know what, your thyroid, I'm not comfortable with these thyroid levels, and she can prescribe medicine, but she tries to get you on the natural route. So the DHEA is a really good example because I ordered different brands. I was breaking out and I didn't know it at the time, but I did need DHEA. It was what my adrenal glands needed. However, all the DHEAs on the market for the most part are instant release, and it's too much to your system too quickly and you can break out and get acne, which was happening. And she looked at my blood, she's like, you're low on DHEA. She's the one who kind of taught me about slow release. So I'm gonna show you my jar. This is the brand they sell. It says Nutra Supplement, and it's DHEA, 10 milligrams. It's a very small amount. Slow, SR is slow release. Well, the slow release, my DHEA came up, it stayed level. Now when I work out, I can build muscle really easily. I have energy. Everything I was trying to get in coffee was restored when I started taking this one supplement alone. Just someone looking at my blood work and being like, you need DHEA, but this is how to get it, was worth testosterone. Her personal journey, she's low on testosterone. She's tried all the different, she's done the pellet, she's tried all the different kinds. And just so y'all know, I'm not a doctor. I am not gonna be good at your health, but I'm hoping that something that I say today might help you in your journey to find your balance for your life, your health. Because what happens a lot of times, I had 5 children and I seemed great. I kind of bounced back, lost the weight after 4. The 5th one just sent me in a tailspin for several years. So it's been like a journey getting me back to health. She took one look at my blood work and was like, you're pre-diabetic. This is why you're not losing weight. You're gonna eat a teaspoon of sugar and gain a pound. And I was like, oh, because I had done a marathon or a half marathon, and in the training had these little gummy bear things that give you energy. Every few miles was eating gummy bears, the whole training. So all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's why I gained 2 pounds and I just did a half marathon. So it just kind of put all the pieces of the puzzle together for me. Now this was her advice on the testosterone. She said the pellet, she said I felt great on the pellet, but she had the same experience I did. Now, I only did the pellet one time. I have friends who've done it for years. They love it. They're on a good schedule. It's super expensive. It's probably the most expensive option to get your testosterone levels up. The other part though, which is what she experienced, was you put it in, it takes a few days for your body to like start absorbing it. Then your testosterone is like really high and you're like a little rabbit for a while. But then you have to wait and then it goes down. So there's not this kind of even testosterone level. There's no control. You don't know how you're gonna respond once it's in your body. So lots of things like that. So what she prescribed was testosterone cream, and here's my cream. I have a pharmacy locally that gives me a 3-month supply. And you just, dial it up. There's a little dot of cream. You kind of rub it on your skin. There's a certain place where you rub it, and before bed. And usually within 3 to 4 days, your testosterone level, you can feel, it come up. And if after, what happens with me is I'll get like 1 black hair on my chin and like, oh, that's too much testosterone, and then I won't take it for 2 or 3 days. So I can kind of keep those levels. I have a lot more control. This 3-month supply was $50. I think the pellets are like $150, $180. From the Hormone Therapy place I found, they take insurance. So anytime I get my blood tested and they send that blood work off, my insurance pays for it. Which is another, I started just calling places like, do you take insurance? And they all kind of had different things that they majored on, and so just knowing like what pre-diabetes, she said now you need to get on, I can't remember, it's when you're not quite diabetic yet, but you're going down that route, and it helps regulate your blood sugar level. Prescription that gives you extreme gas. Okay, so I kind of worked up to that. I took it for maybe 3 weeks and worked up to it, but I just did not feel good on it. My stomach was explosive, and then I got, that's right in that time period, first blood test, pre-diabetic, you know, diagnosis, got on whatever that drug is. And they can, with all drugs, they can say, okay, this is too much for you, you need to lower it or whatever. But got on keto, stopped taking the drug, and my blood work the next time, like within 6 weeks, I was no longer pre-diabetic. My insulin levels were normal and level. Like keto corrected a lot very quickly. Love the blood work thing though. I think it tells a story of what's going on in your body, and it's very preventative. She can be like, wow, your white blood count is really high, you need to get checked out, it could be precancerous or whatever. And I love that part of going to like a wellness center. My thyroid was another issue, and she gave me Armor, and my insurance paid for it, and then suddenly last year they didn't anymore. They said, oh, they just paid for a lot less, and it was going to cost me $40 a month or something. And right around that time, I just kind of was like, I don't like taking this anyway. And so I just stopped taking my Armor thyroid. I went online this time, and I found this triple action thyroid from Life Extension, and I'll put the links down below. I don't know how it's going to do. I don't know how it's doing in my body. But I thought I'm just gonna take one a day and then get my blood tested in 3 months. Like I can regulate when I get my blood tested and just see how my body's responding. The other one that I was low on, and I've never been low on before, was progesterone. I had prescription progesterone, and they look like these little dot things. And I took one, you know, take one before bed. She's like, it might make you a little drowsy. I'm like, okay, I'm okay with that. So I took it the first night, and within 5 minutes I had a headache. Then I was dizzy. And then when I did get in bed and I kind of laid down, I suddenly was passed out, but it was more like comatose. You cannot wake me up until my drug has worn off. And then at like 3 or 4 in the morning, I finally aroused to realize, you know, okay, they finally wore off. I had so many reactions to this pill. And then when I looked up the side effects, it was like anxiety, depression, headaches, dizziness, tired, you know, whatever the side effects were, I had all of them in one night. So the next day, so what I could have done is like press through, take it the next night, get my body adjusted to it. But I don't do that. I normally, if my body responds negatively to a drug, I immediately got online, ordered some progesterone cream, which you rub in your skin. And then same thing, Life Extension had this, it's called pregnenolone, and supports memory and hormone balance. And you know, it got really good ratings. People were like, oh, my progesterone levels are awesome now. So that's how I handle it. I just get a couple of herbal type things, try them. If you have like a place that keeps, you know, you can go and check your blood, same thing. I'm gonna take these hormone and the progesterone ones, and in 3 months just see like how my body responds, the blood work part. So that's my little hormone therapy story. The thyroid, so Mark's thyroid was kind of low this time too, but kind of cranky. And so she just said, why don't you know, I've just noticed your thyroid is just not you know, in the levels I'd like to be at, but she's like, I don't want you to take thyroid medication. I think you can get away with eating some Brazil nuts every day, which he had been doing Brazil nuts and his blood work was much better in the thyroid department last time. And so he was like, oh, I have gotten out of the Brazil nut habit. The other thing that he was low on was testosterone, but it wasn't super low. It was like 650. It was his reading. And she likes to see it more like 800, 1,000. But instead of giving him testosterone, men pretty quickly can boost their own testosterone if they're taking DHEA. So she had him jump on the DHEA, and I think she said take 50 milligrams. She said your DHEA levels are great, but if you take a little bit more, and again, slow release, then your testosterone will make its own T3 or T4 more easily. So I love, like, I love my person that I found, and they're popping up all over the city. If you get a flyer in the mail that says, you know, free dinner, and we're gonna talk about why you're tired and fatigued and this and that, that's a new hormone place in your neighborhood, and they want to chat about your thyroid. So go to the free dinner, check them out, and then if you're not feeling good about them, just don't even call them back. Don't just drop. Well, my checks were all pretty good except for fatigue. I was pretty tired and had been pretty tired for a couple weeks, and I was taking my iron and it just wasn't doing what it normally does. And she said, your D levels are really low, like dangerously low. And I have been taking vitamin D. So she said if they get below 35, that's like where cancer can thrive. That it explained the fatigue to me, and it wasn't what I normally can figure out. So I can't figure out everything about my health on my own. They will prescribe a drug, but they'll also be like, oh, you know, you could just do this cream or this, something lighter to kind of just get you up to where you need to be. So I hope that helps y'all a little bit. I know that I was pretty much stabbing in the dark at first, you know, just knowing something is not right. And went to a hormone place in like June, went back in July for my blood work follow-up. I'm like, oh my Lord, how I'm just crawling to the bathroom because I stopped coffee in June, and it took until August to finally be like, and then I figured out the DHEA, I ordered it, and I was like, oh, finally I'm starting to kind of pep up a little bit. But then it took till August to get to a better hormone doctor. I finally just blew off the other one. I was like, this is hard, they're far away. And then Mark's done an online doctor, and he liked him okay, but again, if the grace isn't there, if it's hard, it's a struggle, he had to go back to get his blood work. They kept forgetting to do certain vials, and then it was hard. And so I think if it's hard or if it seems super expensive, skip that place, go on to the next place, because if you find a good like wellness clinic that'll like test your blood and look at it as kind of a naturopathic eye, now you can get kind of on this road to health. And I say it's slow, but once you find a good person, it's not slow. Like you start feeling better within a few days because they're like, oh, this, and this. If you change these 3 things, then you'll your hormones will be more in balance. And some of this is totally going to be totally foreign to you. If you've always done Western medicine, then you're not as attuned to your system and what it could need. So whatever they say, do it. But then a couple months later, just kind of think, you know what? I didn't love how I felt after that, or I'm a whole hormone replacement therapy thing. There's lots of opinions, but this was my experience. This was my journey, and really Mark's journey too. I try to share some of the things for the male in this video. So hope that helps y'all. Y'all give it a thumbs up and a like, and definitely comment below any comments or personal experience. I'd love to hear from you and your hormone replacement therapy, what's helped you, and you know what's been like kind of hard for you to get balanced. And we'll see you next week. All right.